was very purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many things you can say about this song. Are the pro-abortion people ever going to get a hint that, like, this isn't appealing to young women anymore?
It just sounds as if she's saying there's not going to be help from the man. And that's really
a really good point. I didn't think about that. But
can't relate to cancel culture, hookup culture, or victim culture?
Well, neither could we. We created this platform for those other girls. Girls like us who want to give a different perspective from a Christian and conservative worldview.
We talk about life, work, relationships, pop culture, and everything in between. So let's be those other girls that just don't talk about culture,
but change culture.
Okay, hello everyone. You are listening to Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory.
And I'm Savannah, one of Mallory's friends.
And we are changing culture and bringing back traditional values.
Yes, we are.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to the show. It has been about a week or so since we've had maybe 2 weeks, since we had a normal, regularly scheduled TCAP. I've been really busy, some cool things going on in the future that I can't wait to share with everyone. But if this is your first time listening to Those Are the Girls, I want to let you know you have found your new favorite podcast. We talk about pop culture. This is a pop culture heavy episode, actually. We talk about pop culture. We talk about life, we talk about relationships. But how we differ from most is we're coming at it from a Christian conservative perspective. And not just any Christian conservative perspective. Not just any just regular one. But we're girls who also like fashion. We also like being girls. We also are pro-life. So we have a little bit of a difference of us. If you understood what that meant, you are more than likely a perfect audience member. If you do not, you'll learn eventually. So that's just a quick intro of what this podcast is. I want to go over a few now. I'm gonna go over a few announcements, and then for those who've been here before and you're like, who's Savannah? We're gonna talk about Savannah in a second. But before that, I want to talk about a couple announcements. Merch. We have a merch site. We have really cute Barbie themed merch. We also have an app. The app is a really great place to continue the conversation. We're going to be talking about some really hot topics, and you're going to want to have this conversation with other girls. And there's going to be a topic that I think everybody's going to love to kind of talk about. And you're going to want to do that with people who you agree with, and maybe even people who you don't disagree with. But we can have a good, honest conversation. The app is a great place for that. We have a Patreon. If you listen to this podcast, you're like, wow, this is so good. I want more of this. You can join our Patreon. We have one show going on there right now. Also, you get to announcements for things before everyone else. We're going to have special merch for Patreon. And you're helping us grow the podcast. That's the biggest thing. You help us grow the podcast. These mics would be near impossible without the Patreon. And we're going to be participating in a Jump for Change, and that's going to be on the website, and I'm going to link it everywhere. This is, we're going to be jump roping myself, Elise, Freeman, Brooke. I think those are the only people who've been on the podcast that you guys would know. We're going to be jumping rope to raise money for the Palmetto Women's Center. That's going to be exciting. I don't really have much to say about that other than I should have been practicing, and I did not, so I'm glad I have an athletic team.
When is that? When is that, Mallory?
The 22nd.
Okay.
So
you still got time.
Yeah.
You got a week. Got a week to practice your jumping rope.
Yeah. I told my brother, and he was like, well, when was the last time you jumped rope? And I was like, it's been years.
Oh,
like,
gosh.
why'd you sign up?
Oh,
and
gosh.
I was like, I wanted to be part of the team. I wanted to raise money. So
Of course.
Yeah, you know. I
You're
think
gonna
that's
do
almost
great.
everything. Thank you. But thankfully, I have a team, so I don't think we all jump. I think we just keep jumping rope. So I'll jump a little bit, and then I'll pass it on to someone else.
Right.
And then we just try to go
okay.
for 2 hours. I think
So it's
that's
not
how
like
it is.
Yeah.
No, it's not all
you
on me. Oh my
take
goodness. If it
turns,
was all on me, I'd probably ask my brother to do it instead. But if you want to donate to the Palmetto Women's Center, which is a pregnancy center in South Carolina, you can go to our website for that, and there'll be a link for that. Okay, I think those are all the announcements. We have Savannah. And I said you guys might not know Savannah, but you probably do. You have seen her face so much on live action. She has her own podcast, Classy Chicks, and she's been on this podcast. What else is she? She is an amazing influencer. You've probably seen her. You do a lot of stuff with American Women Beauty, Culture of Life, everybody's favorite pro-life fashion store. Who else? Do you want to know anybody else?
Yeah, it's mainly Culture of Life Fashion. I write for them. Live Action, I work in marketing for them. Crunchy Makeup, they're a natural makeup company, and I've been working with them a lot more lately, which I've been loving. But yeah, and I've been on this podcast, I think once, maybe twice.
I think twice, actually.
I think maybe twice, yeah. But I'm so excited to be back.
Okay, so since you've been on the podcast, anything exciting happened that you want to share with the class?
Yeah, so I think I was on the podcast maybe in the fall, maybe before that.
Fall.
I think it was the fall. I honestly don't know that I was working for Live Action, or I might have been working very part-time for Live Action, because I started working very part-time in August of last year, and now I'm almost full-time. I'm not quite full-time because I have a lot of other things that I do on the side, so I cannot be full-time. Yeah. But there's just been a lot of things going on in our world. I actually, exciting thing, I am now in a relationship, and I was definitely not in a relationship in the fall. So that is one really exciting thing. And I'm sure maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that. And that also, I mean, one of the topics that we're talking about today, I have a lot more thoughts from a person being in a relationship that I might not have been as eager to share if I hadn't been in a relationship. So that's really great. But I'm loving life here in Florida. There's been a lot of people who've moved down to Florida since the fall. Like, I have a lot of friends from back home, friends from work. One of my coworkers just moved down here. That's been amazing. I did a lot of hosting this past winter, which was definitely new for me. But, like, being a young person living in Florida, a lot of your friends want to come down, so that was amazing. Life's just been great. But I'm really excited to be back on because I listen to your podcast, if not every time. I don't listen to them every week because I don't listen to podcasts every week, but I'll, like, bulk listen to your episodes. So I'll, like, listen to, like, 2 at once, or I'll listen to, like, 3 at once. So I am definitely a regular listener to the other girls' podcast. This is not new for me. I absolutely love it. One of my favorite. You're up there with Alex Clark's podcast, What in the Dang Heck. I love them. And then you. It's basically you 3 are my favorite podcasts to listen to, so.
I did not pay her to say that, you guys. She said it all on her own.
This is an unpaid ad.
Oh my goodness. I'm so honored. I am so honored. I need to listen to this. What the dang heck? You're like the 3rd person to bring them up.
I love them. They are, and I feel like if you guys did a collab, it'd be so cool because they are, so Cecilia and then Megan. Cecilia, Jean, and then Megan. And Cecilia actually grew up right near where I grew up. And she's like 4 years older than me. So we like basically just missed like knowing each other. We were all in the same circles. And then we just missed knowing each other. But I like know some of her family and stuff like that. And then Megan, she's a young mom. And it's a Catholic podcast. It's like Catholic, Christian, like lifestyle basically, but it's not as political. Like it's not by not as political, I mean it's not political, and it's not super pop. It's not super pop culture-y. It's more like lifestyle habits almost. A little bit different, but I just really love listening to them. I think also because it's cool how they connect people. So I know that those other girls does this too, and I'm sure you'll do this as you continue to grow, but like it's cool because you'll meet someone in a different state who listens to What in the Dang Heck, and you listen to that too, and so it's like you have that to bond on, and that's what's really cool, I think, about these women podcasts, is that we listen to them, you know, for fun, to like find community, and then sometimes we meet people in different states who also listen to them, and then we have this common ground to talk about, so.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, I just follow them on Instagram, and I'm going to add them on my list to listen to, because you're like the 3rd person to bring that up and say that I would like it. Okay,
yeah,
that's
100%.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool. And she also has a podcast, everybody, Classy Chicks.
Yes, I do.
And she talks about, it's similar it's
similar in nature to all these women
Yeah.
podcasts, but it's, I would say, at least at the beginning, and it's going a little bit away from this, but it's geared towards high school and young college girls. So it's a little bit of a younger audience, because I didn't feel like when I was growing up, I didn't feel like there was someone, and now there are so many women in this space, but I didn't feel like there was someone in the space of not being a mom, maybe being single, not in a relationship, who was living out a Christian lifestyle. There was just this time that it was acceptable to be promiscuous. I felt. That's what I felt. I felt like there was this time in your early 20s where it's like, whatever goes, whatever goes. And then all of a sudden, magically, you just find the right person and settle down. But like, that's not how it happens. You have to be exercising virtue constantly. So I wanted to kind of just like basically give other women a platform, as well as kind of be that example myself. And obviously none of us are perfect. I'm not perfect at all. I make a ton of mistakes, but I wanted to have, give girls a place to have that voice. So definitely go check it out. I love it. It's so much fun. Not at all as established as those other girls. Mallory literally does, like, I admire you in so many ways, but the fact that you are put together enough to have a video podcast, I'm sorry, but that just says something about you, because not everybody is put together enough to have a video podcast.
I'm gonna think I told you to say all these things. Thank you.
Yeah, she definitely paid me. It's under the counter. She paid me under the counter. Just kidding. It's on my own. No, don't check Venmo receipts.
No, but seriously, thank you. And your podcast is going to get there too. I really do. I listen to your podcast as well. And I catch it here and there, and I genuinely like it. I do agree it is geared toward younger girls, and I have recommended it. To a couple people before as well. Because no, seriously, and I think you make a very valid point about, for a really long time there wasn't anyone in that middle. Now there are people in that middle, and then that middle is kind of becoming then there's little pockets of, okay, if you like this type of person in the middle, if you like this type of person in the middle. So that's good. And I think the more people, I think it's a positive to have a lot of options, because who I'm reaching is not going to be the same as other people. And who other people are reaching might not be someone who wants to listen to my content. Yeah.
No, and the other thing is, like, I'm sorry, but I don't like to just listen to one podcast episode per week. Like, if I'm going to listen to podcasts, like, a lot of the times I'll be on a long drive and I'll want to listen to, like, 3 at the same time, you know? Or, like, I'll be, like, cleaning and I want to listen. So it's nice to be able to go from What in the Dang Heck to Those Other Girls to maybe Alex Clark's to maybe a more, like, live action exclusives or something like that.
Yeah.
So I also agree. There's never... I don't know. People definitely, like, would say that there are too many podcasts in a certain space, but I disagree. I think it's cool. I love when people start podcasts. My friend near here is just launched her own podcast today, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So
yeah, if you want to shout it out, I mean, well,
I have to. Let me look it up. So she is amazing. Her name is Cassidy. She just moved to Clearwater. She was actually on my podcast, and she is all about health, hormone health, fertility health, wellness. She is a wealth of knowledge. We just had a seminar thing for all the girls here.
Yes, I've seen it on your Instagram.
Yeah, and it was amazing. Okay. It was amazing. So her name is Cassidy Woelfel, and her podcast is, let me tell you, it's called Eat Like a Mother Podcast.
Oh, cute.
So she's a young mother. She's 26, I believe, 25 or 26, and she just moved, like, literally to 5 minutes away from me from Texas, but I knew her when she was in Texas. And we just had, like, an in-person hormones health seminar.
I saw that.
My roommates and I, the next day, we took a trip to, like, a local, like, farm to get raw milk. It was so cool. Like, I'm so interested in this stuff now. But it's like a whole new world for me, kind of, but it's also kind of funny because my mom actually, like, kind of before it was a fad, was into all this natural stuff. So I'm, like, going back to her, and she's like, oh my gosh, you're interested in this now. So it's just kind of like a circling back sort of thing. But I definitely recommend her page. Her Instagram is Cassidy.Woelfel. And she just has so much knowledge she has helped so many people who are infertile. Like literally people who are infertile, natural remedies. I mean, one reason, sorry, I'm going off on a little ramble here, but one reason that I started wearing natural makeup is because the average woman puts, I think it's 90 chemicals on her skin per day, and that affects fertility hugely. Like, that can affect your fertility now. Like, I'm not trying to get pregnant. I'm not married. I'm not any of that, right? But I want to have a lot of kids, and I want to be able to have a lot of healthy kids. And so what I'm putting on my face affects that. And so I started using Crunchy, and I've noticed, first of all, I've noticed my skin is just like clearer. Like, it's been nicer. It's felt better. But also, it's natural makeup that actually works. I've had a lot of like natural makeup that I've tried that just like doesn't really work. Crunchy makeup, I'm doing a shout out to them. You can reach out to me if you want more information, but they actually work. They're reasonable prices they give you such large quantities of stuff. Like, I haven't even had to restock, and I've been using it since like December of this year on anything. And I don't know, it all ties together, you know, with your femininity, your hormone health and balancing your cycle. Mallory and I talk a lot about working and what that looks like for women in regards to your cycle and being a woman.
And we talk about this on our personal time, not even like
on our personal time.
Yeah, not even on our podcast. Like, we had conversations during our personal time.
An hour-long phone call the other day just about like how are we as women like gonna balance like our work life, because I'm sorry guys, but I love working as much as the next person. I would say I love working as much as more than many people that I know, but women are not supposed to work 9 to 5. Women are supposed to work with our cycle, and so not everybody has the luxury of doing that. But if you have a work from home job that's a little bit more flexible and you can do that, it's amazing, and you get so much more done, and you feel so much better about yourself, so you feel so much more productive. So anyway, sorry I'm talking a lot.
No, you're good. I'm glad you're on. I think that, so at the end we'll link all of your stuff, and then we'll talk about it again, but I think we should just get started. Initially we had 6 stories, and I was like, that's way too much. So now we're down to 4, but I think we have a lot to say about all 4 stories. So we should get started.
For sure. Let's go. I am ready.
Okay, here we go. Okay. So our first story is something that, once again, we've been saying we were going to discuss for like 2 weeks now, but I saw someone posted a video like yesterday, so I don't feel like we're too far behind, but we're going to talk about Demi Lovato's new song. If you have not seen it already, it is called Swine. It's by Demi Lovato, and some of the lyrics, I'm just going to read some of the lyrics. I'm not going to play it. I don't really want to give it any views, which I actually checked today. It's not even in her top 5 streams. Like, I don't think it's
I believe it. It's literally a disgusting song, even if you don't listen to any of the lyrics.
Right. And it's so crazy because, before we get into this, I used to be a huge Demi Lovato fan, and I love her voice. I absolutely love her voice. I like this, quote, new rock version of her. She's redone Cool for the Summer and Heart Attack and made it a rock version. I'm like, ooh, these are fun. And those are songs from like our childhood. Not the movie. And it's really good. So it's sad, and I have a lot of thoughts on it, but it's just sad that she has decided to take this direction of her music instead of just making cool, fun music. I mean, La La Land, even though I don't think that was her song, La La Land, I still sing that. And I'm not even famous, but I feel it in my heart. But anyway, back to her song. Okay, so I'm just going to read snippets. So the first couple lines, it says, God forbid. Actually, I'm not going to read those. Look it up. The first 2 lines are really bad. I was going to, you'll have to, sorry, you guys. I'm trying to think if I should actually, I'm not going to read the actual words. You can fill in the blank in your head. Yeah. And you can also look it up yourself. God forbid I want to suck whatever the F word I wanna. God forbid I want to F word whatever the F word I want. Next one I'm not going to read. There's another part where this part I think is really what's I guess the overarching thesis of her conversation. My life, my voice, my rights, my choice, it's mine, or I'm just swine. My blood, my loins, my lungs, my noise, it's mine, or I'm just swine. That's another section. And then this is another one I wanted to talk about, another part. She goes, we gotta grow them, we gotta raise them, we gotta feed them and bathe them. And if you won't, they will call you a witch to burn at the stake in Salem. Thought by now they'd change, but we're still waiting. Those are 3 sections that I think are just, that really stuck out to me, and I kind of wanted to discuss. Was there another section, or are you good with those?
I mean, that's it. It's basically it. Like, if you want to look up the full lyrics, it's not at all child appropriate. But,
no.
Yeah, and she released this song. I remember we were in DC, so I think it was like the day before the anniversary of Roe v. Wade being overturned. Like, this was very purposeful. Mm-hmm. And a few things. There's so many things you could say about the song, but mm-hmm. my coworkers and I like listened to the song when it first came out, and like you said, Mallory, like Demi Lovato was like our childhood, like maybe not childhood, but like teenage years, like for sure, like her songs we loved, like they were party songs, they were like girl power songs. Mm-hmm. I loved her songs, and when you watch like the music video too, it's like, you know. It's, first of all, literally demonic, but it's also like, are the pro-abortion people ever going to get a hint that, like, this isn't appealing to young women anymore? Like, there's all these trends right now of soft girl summer, just like summer vibes, like, it's like mermaids, soft, neutrals, like neutral, like, there's like all this stuff about like being calm and like embracing your feminine energy, and this is not just the conservative side. This is literally young women. Like, this is just trends, like TikTok trends, all this stuff. Her song is disgusting. Like, who is she? Who is her audience? I don't understand. The only people I can think of is the old bitter women. You know, the women who've been around since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, who we see at the women's marches. We don't see young women at the women's marches. I'm sorry, we really don't. We see old, angry women. Yeah. So, if that's who you want to appeal to, Demi, okay.
They probably didn't even know how to access the song, if we're being honest.
Right, but it's like literally just think in any sort of like a business mindset, it's not going to appeal to the people you want to. No. And it's just, the song is so degrading to women in so many reasons. First of all, it's basically saying that the only thing women are good for is sex, that we're animals. Yes, she's comparing us to animals because she's making us into animals. Like, that's what she's, like, our animalistic desires, she's basically saying, like, it's not making it seem like you have any choice but to have sex. And I think to have sex. And I think that's one thing that's really important to remember. It's like, nobody is forcing you to get pregnant. In the cases of rape, in the case of incest, absolutely terrible situations. But I'm sorry, we're not talking about the exception here. No. We're talking about the 99.8% of other cases where you have a very clear choice, but that choice is not when you're pregnant with a child. That choice is before. That choice is when you decide whether or not to engage in sex, because sex leads to pregnancy. It's natural. It's been this way for all of human history. So I thought that was terrible. I just want to read one thing that my coworker, she made a video about this afterwards, and this was her thoughts, and I feel like this just kind of summarizes good thoughts, a good response to this song. She said, quote, "This is a terrible song, and the lyrics were written to reduce a woman to her body. Demi, do you really think that the only thing women are good for is sex? To please others and to be pleased? Are we not valuable human beings that should respect ours and our children's bodies? Defending the lives of our own children in the womb does not make us swine or pigs. It makes us strong. We have a superpower that can grow humans inside of our wombs, and it should never be reduced or mocked. I feel like that summarizes it. We have a superpower. Like, it's just everything that she's saying is opposite. The opposite is true. What do you think, Mal?
No, I agree with everything you said. I didn't even think about the point you made about how it's so angry and it's these harsh tones in the even like the coloring of the
it's
video.
Like red and black. Yeah.
I didn't even think of that point, but that's such a good point. I mean, it's not like I checked. It's not even popular. I haven't even heard anyone talk about it really. Even on my, like, sometimes I'll listen to like other people who are on the left, who are like our counterparts but on the left, and none of them have even really talked about it. And it's really crazy to me that that her career, or herself, has taken this kind of turn. I don't really want to talk about Demi Lovato as a person. I really want to stick with the lyrics. But I do want to say that, like, I forgot who I heard say this, but it does seem like there's a little bit of an identity thing going on. Well, obviously, you know, with the whole they thing, there was some identity stuff going on. And I think this is just another reason why, when you are, and we know that she's been through a lot of stuff, and we know, so this is another reason why it's so important to be grounded in the Bible, be grounded in, like, the Word of God. So, obviously, we're all going to have identity issues. That's just part of being human. But you have to work intentionally to make sure that you're grounded in something concrete, and that's the Word of God. And I just really, like, just listening to this and what you were saying about reducing women to just being, like,
sexual objects.
Really. Yeah, sexual objects. That all goes to just identity, not valuing yourself to be something more. I wanted to add the part where she says, we gotta grow them, we gotta raise them, we gotta feed them, and we gotta bathe them. The part that's like, that stuck out to me about that is, it just sounds as if she's saying there's not going to be help from the man. Because she's just making it seem like it's all on the woman. And I think that goes to hookup culture. We have gotten ourselves into this situation of hookup culture, of sexual relations where you are without consequences, you're just having sex anywhere. Yeah. So then you think in your head that you're automatically just going to do it by yourself. And that's
really a really good point. I didn't think about that, but you're right. I mean, because when you know, when that's so normalized in our culture that, and it's true, you know, abortion helps men. It makes it so that men don't have responsibility. And that's scary, but it's scary. It's scary to think that you'd have to raise a kid on your own. It's scary because it's literally disordered. Like, it shouldn't be like this in a healthy, family, values-centric society. It shouldn't be like that. So that's a really good, interesting point.
Yeah, that's my first thought of that was that it's just an automatic. I mean, even if you go on Twitter, there was that tweet. I don't know if this person was serious, but everybody took them serious, where they're like, this girl tweeted, "I wish I could have picked my baby daddy." And it's like, well, girly, like, you did.
You totally did.
Girl, you did.
My gosh. Yeah, it's so opposite now. You know, it's just when everything is ordered. And, you know, I used to be one of those people. I don't know if you remember, but like a couple years ago, it was very popular in the pro-life movement. And it's so not popular now, but it's very popular to say, we're laser focused. I want to say this right, but we're laser focused on abortion. Nothing else has to do with abortion. Yes. It doesn't relate to sexual health. It doesn't relate to
birth control,
like adoption. It doesn't relate to birth control. It doesn't relate to fathers. Nothing. It's just abortion. Yeah. Well, in the past few years, we've just, I feel like as a culture, come to realize what has been true all along. It's all connected. Yes. It's all connected. We need to change our culture. Abortion is the only thing that kills 2,000 children every day, but it all stems from somewhere. So, I think that's an interesting point that I hadn't really heard anyone bring out besides you, Mal, that it shouldn't be the woman only raising the child. Like, I mean, that should be obvious, but it's not always obvious today because there's a lot of single parents who are doing their best and who are, trying so hard. And it's honestly so admirable to me the way these single moms are raising their kids. I know so many good single moms, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it. But in a perfect world, and in an ideal world, and in a world that values life and respects our own lives, when we as women respect our own lives and our own bodies, it's not going to be us raising the children. It's going to be us and a father.
Yeah. Amen. Well, ladies, let us know what you think about the song. Yeah. Did you listen to it? Did you get kind of the demonic vibes we got? Are you surprised that it's not very popular? I mean, let us know in the comment section.
Yeah.
On
let
YouTube,
us know.
Or on the app. So we're going to move to the next story. Switching gears actually a lot. Okay, so this is by the Star Telegram. This next topic. I'm going to cough 1 second. North Texas influencer Brittany Dawn agrees to pay $400,000 in a deceptive trade lawsuit. I just thought of this. Do you know about Brittany Dawn? Do you know anything about her?
I don't know a ton about her. I read the story, and I have some thoughts on the story, but you can explain a little bit more about her.
Before I read the story, I just realized you might not know, and some people in the audience might not know. Mm-hmm. So Brittany Dawn, I'll try to do a quick recap. Brittany Dawn, years ago, before I think a lot of people follow her now and know her as a Christian influencer. She has her ministry, I think it's called She Lives Free or something like that. You might have seen it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That's who she is today. Years ago, she was a fitness influencer. And I kind of knew about her because, embarrassingly, I used to sell It Works. That's a whole nother podcast, a whole nother episode. But we would use her pictures because I thought she was an It Works girly, but turns out she wasn't. Anyway, she was a fitness influencer. And she blew up one day and got so many orders, and then someone exposed her. So there would be things like pay, $200 and I'll send you a custom plan.
Right.
And then people would talk and be like, wait, my plan is exactly like your plan. Or they wouldn't get anything at all, or all this other stuff. So then someone exposed her. She was on Good Morning America. I remember seeing her on Good Morning America. She said all these things. She apologized. She had to pay some people back. It was this huge thing. And then she did all this. Everybody was mad at her. And then I do remember she went to Hawaii, or she went to some island afterwards. Everyone's like, okay, you really don't care. Like, if you're just going to go off. And then she, disappeared. And then all of a sudden she was a Christian influencer. She posts a lot of Christian inspirational things.
She has the chiseled, she has the chiseled and called podcast. I've never listened to it, but I like their graphics.
Yes.
Okay.
So she definitely, I'm pretty sure everybody might not know Brittany Dawn, but you have seen. But
you know
exactly.
Because I didn't know exactly who she was, and then I literally just looked, and I follow her podcast and her chosen, I don't know, Christian stuff. It's Christian stuff.
Exactly, it's Christian stuff. So the thing is, in her past, she scammed a lot of people. I mean, she scammed. People were very upset. I mean, she has to pay $400,000. That's a lot of money. So, this is kind of the end of the saga, but there's an interesting, at the end, I'm going to ask everybody a question, what do they think about a specific thing about this? But, okay, let me read the article. So back to the article by the Star Telegram. The fitness influencer turned Christian leader who Texas authorities said scammed customers seeking to purchase curated fitness and nutrition plans is paying $400,000 to settle a lawsuit brought by the state, according to court documents. Brittany Dawn Davis, the influencer from North Texas, who the Texas Attorney General Office claimed in the lawsuit scammed her social media followers, has agreed to the payment broken down into $300,000 and civil penalties and $100,000 in restitution, according to the court documents. Davis, quote, admits wrongdoing, end quote, but says she has, quote, was, quote, overwhelmed by the number of customers who purchased programs from her website, end quote. Davis and the state agreed to the settlement through mediation on April 25th. According to letters from the mediator and the Attorney General Office of the court, she will have 3 years to pay the penalties and restitution and will not be required to pay the $131,320 in attorney fees levied against her if she complies with the permanent injunctions, including in the document. The court documents say the settlement does not prevent private citizens from filing lawsuits against Davis. Okay, so it's all wrapped up. That portion of her life, I guess, kind of is completed. My question is, and Savannah, you answer this. Everybody listening, you can answer this. When do people get a fresh start? If they do get a fresh start, what are some things that they need to do before they get a fresh start? Should you trust people after they've done this? Like, so I listened to, I watched like 2 of her videos, because when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is fascinating. And I'm very fascinated by her whole story. Because like, it's just, when people blow up really quick, I'm very fascinated, because I like to blow up real quick. So I want to see what they're doing so that I can do it. No, I'm just joking. But not joking at the same time. So I'm just very fascinated by it. So I listened to, also, she did an hour-long podcast about this as well. And I had emotions going through my emotions were going up and down through the podcast, which is, I'll talk about that later. But the thing is, she wants it to be over. And I get it. I think everything like kind of happened in 2018, 2019.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a minute. So she wants it all to be over. She wants to start and do something different. She wants to have this all in her past. But is this something that can we trust her? Like, what do you guys think? Savannah, what do you think first?
I think, and like, that's hard. That's interesting. So now I'm like thinking, because like I follow her like podcast, and I just like the graphics, or like the little notes with like the little whatever. It's difficult because like for anyone at all in the influencer, affiliate, like in that space, I think any honest person would admit that like you're selling something, and regardless of what it is, regardless if you really like it's hard to do it if you don't actually really like the product, or if you're not actually passionate about it. Like, it's hard to be successful in that, but you are still selling something, and there is still, especially when you're a huge influencer like her, there's a huge monetary reward. So I think you always have to, personally, I always do question the people's intention and try to see where they got their start from. Did they get their start from just being being passionate about something? When it's funny because, well, I guess I'll use Cecilia, who has the What in the Dang Heck podcast as an example. Now, it's a pretty big podcast. She does a lot of big things. If you scroll all the way down her Instagram, it's kind of cool because it's like there'll be posts with like 100 likes, right? When she was like just a kid, like talking about this Christian stuff, right? It's very genuine. That's where she got her passion from. It's obvious. It's very genuine. She's a very genuine person. Now, of course, she's selling things. Of course, she has ads for things. But you trust her because it's very genuine. Someone who might not have started out that way and might be now leveraging a Christian audience because she has a big following, maybe she's doing it all in goodwill. I don't know. It does raise some red flags, and it's hard. It's hard because you don't want to judge people, but it's also like when there's a huge monetary reward. Money corrupts. Power corrupts. Money corrupts.
Yeah, that's my thing too. Like, I want to believe. I truly, whenever people have conversion stories, I want to believe them. I really do.
Well, does she have a conversion story? Like, what's her conversion story?
I don't know her conversion story.
See, that's the thing too. It's like, did she have a conversion story, or did she all of a sudden start posting about being a Christian?
I think it was the latter, because she'll post on her personal. Because I've seen, some of my friends have shared her stuff, so that's how I've seen her stuff. I personally don't follow her, but she'll post stuff like, in the past, those videos with, in the past, I had an eating disorder, I was an alcoholic, I was this, and then I met Jesus. And I'm not trying to minimize those. I think that God can absolutely do that.
For sure.
It is it does make me raise an eyebrow, though, when I see those now. Not necessarily because I don't trust the people, but I'm just very skeptical. We Christians are very forgiving because God has forgiven us, so we are called to forgive others.
For sure.
And we support our own for the most part. So I do feel like I want to believe her. I want to believe that she truly is sorry. I mean, she did on the podcast. She had said she's apologized numerous times. I will say, so I'm going to say this part. This was in the podcast. This is not, I am not making up this story. She said that when everything was happening, she bought a new house. And when she bought the new house, one of her first nights there, she was sleeping or something like that. And she heard someone like cock a gun or like shoot a gun or something. And heard someone say something like, this B word should learn not to trust anybody. So she called the police and she went on the ground and the lady said to bear crawl to the closet. And the police came, it took them 10 minutes to come. They didn't see anything, but the neighbors saw, and it was terrifying. And it sounds absolutely terrifying. Once again, I want to believe her. But y'all, it is so hard for me to believe that someone would act that way over fitness plans. Now, if someone like Lila Rose or Kristen said that, I'd be like, that checks. I mean, they're talking about abortion. People get emotional over that. But for someone to do that over fitness plans, that just doesn't sound... Unless she left something... Unless I'm missing something, I don't know if someone would come to your house because you did not give them their $70. So it was between $70 and $300. So let's even say $300 because you did not give them
$300.
Their $300. They would come to your house. They would, first of all, research where you just recently moved.
Exactly, yeah.
Come to your house. And I don't want to say that she's not, because she's a sister. If she's claiming to be Christian, I will take her for that. She's a sister in Christ. I don't want to question that. But I'm like, am I missing something? Because that just doesn't sound logical.
I agree. It doesn't check out. Yeah.
It feels a little sketch. And I don't want to necessarily, like, this section is not necessarily bashing her of like, yeah, she's just so fake. I don't necessarily feel that way. But I just wonder, like, when, like, how do we know who to trust when it comes to content? How do we know who to buy from? How do we know?
It's hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, what are some things that we are supposed to be looking out for?
Yeah.
How do we trust? And then, you know, what do we do when that person disappoints us? Because I just, this whole saga is just so fascinating to me, especially her pivoting to Christianity and doing Christian content. And it's like, I don't think that I personally don't follow her because I just don't like that brand of like, So Pretty and Perfect, which is fine. Like, tons of people like that. I just don't like to follow people like that. And so that's why I don't follow her. But I mean, I have friends that follow her, sometimes share her stuff, and sometimes it is good Christian content. So, you know, even if she's lying, God can use that to touch someone's heart.
For sure.
But I'm just like, where, like, can we ever fully trust her? But then it's also like, she's a Christian, we're Christians. If God's forgiven her, who am I to hold it against? I mean,
well, of course,
she didn't even do anything to me. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, she didn't take my money, so I don't know. Like,
yeah, but like the other thing is too that I think in these situations where it's like skeptical, you know, it is any reasonable person would be skeptical. We're called to forgive everyone, but we're not called to like listen to everyone. So, you know, if your gut instinct is telling you this might not be completely genuine, I just wouldn't listen to her, you know? Yeah. I feel it's strange because I never like actually really talked about this, but I do think for me when I'm following, because Christian influencers can be tricky because and I think you're in a similar space that I am too, Mal, because I'm never gonna bash anyone individually, but I think anybody who's in this space would kind of say the same thing. I've followed a lot of people online for a while, and then I meet them in person at an event, at something. I know where you're going. Yep. There are a lot of very not genuine people. There are a lot of mother influencers who I'll see them around their kids. Maybe I'll be trying to help in an event, and they're just like mean. Like, they're just like, that's not what you put online. That's not what you portray. Obviously, we're not going to be the same as what we put online. No. People have told me that I'm actually my friends are just like, you're a lot more open than you are online. Obviously, I'm going to be more open than I am online. Like, obviously, I'm not going to say all these details about my life.
Right.
But one of the biggest compliments people can give me, and they have given me before, and I'm not a big influencer or anything, is that they're like, what did they say? I'm trying to think of exactly how they've said it before, but they're like, you're better in person. Like, you're nicer in person. You're sweet. Yeah. Like, that's, like, some people be like, oh, that's weird. But, like, that is the biggest compliment because, and I'm saying that from my personal perspective because I've been very disappointed by these Christian influencers. I can think of people in my head right now that I've met in person, and they're just, like, I'm not going to use a swear word, but they're just absolutely mean. And I'm like, you're posting about loving God, and, like, obviously we're not perfect. I'm never judging what's going on in their life, but it's like, then don't post about it. You know, when you're in a bad place, don't post about it, maybe. So, and then the other thing is I just personally like to try to scroll down to the beginning of someone's whatever social media they have and see where they started, you know? See if they started when they were, like, Lila Rose, one of the most genuine pro-life leaders I've ever met. She started live action when she was 15. Not because she had an abortion, not because she was participating in one, simply because she saw an evil in the world and she wanted to fix it. You can't get more genuine than that, you know?
Yeah.
So, it's like we and that's why I'm not really a whole fan of, it kind of goes into, like, I'm not really a whole fan of all these articles lately, or, like, the past, like, 6 months that say, like, social media is enslaving us. Like, so, I don't think social media is enslaving us. I think we have the choice or social media is making all these girls insecure. First of all, I don't think children should have social media. Second of all, I think adults should click unfollow if someone's making them insecure. Yes. You know? Yes. We have a choice. We are not enslaved to our phones. I've unfollowed plenty of people because I admit to myself, man, their life is making me feel insecure. It happens. Like, it happens to everyone. Just don't follow them. Like, just follow people who bring you up, because the purpose of social media can be it can be such a uniting factor, and it can be used for so much good. But if we're following accounts that bring us down, that cause us to be skeptical, like, it's not good. So just don't follow them, you know? Click unfollow. They're never going to know.
Exactly. And that's honestly part of the reason why I don't follow her, is because, you know, she does have that quote unquote perfect looking life. It doesn't bring me joy. If it doesn't bring me joy, there's no reason I should be following
Exactly,
her.
No reason.
And it's another Instagram, I guess, influencer lady that I was in, like, a Facebook group of people. I don't follow her anymore either because I feel the same way. And someone was commenting about, someone said, I wish she would just stop posting about her life because it just makes the rest of us feel bad. And I thought for a second, I was like, girly, we could just unfollow. Like, we don't have to. Oh my gosh. And the person was telling her to stop posting. And it's like, well, just don't follow her.
No, that is one thing that has irked me lately, is people saying, that's a funny word. I haven't used the word irked in so long. I, like, didn't even know that was in my vocabulary. But maybe I've heard you use it. Maybe Probably. That's why it just came out of my mouth. But one of the things that's really bothered me lately is these people saying, like, stop posting about your perfect life. It's making me feel bad. I'm like, first of all, bro, like people have said that to me before, and I'm like, wow. First of all, my life is not perfect. Second of all, make your life look like mine if you want to. Like, it's not that difficult. Like, take steps. I'm sorry, I'm probably being a little harsh here, but it's like, if you think someone's ungenuine or it's not making you feel good, unfollow them. If you want to be like that person, take the steps to be like that person, you know? Maybe reach out and be like, hey, how are you doing this? Hopefully they'll be nice enough to, like, help you and tell you, you know, maybe. It's like, it's this victimhood, this victim mentality that we have, I feel like, saying social media is enslaving us and telling people to stop posting about the beauty that they're enjoying. Like, I love seeing people when they go on vacations. I love seeing people when they're at the beach, when they're, you know, I love seeing people in healthy relationships. And, you know, it's like, I'm sick of this, and it kind of goes into this, like, mean girl mentality. I'm sick of this mean girl mentality. I've always been sick of it, but it's just gotten terrible in the past year, and I'm just tired of this, like, all these girls always competing. It's like, we don't need to compete against each other. We need to work together. I don't know.
No, I love all that you just said. You are great soapbox.
Very
moment.
passionate. We're recording this at 9:00 p.m. Like, this is my unfiltered hour.
Yeah, no, seriously though, like, you're so right. There is this, like, mean girl mentality that a lot of people have, and it's I think it's partially also jealousy.
Oh, for sure. I think it all comes from jealousy. Yeah.
Yeah. And I completely understand being in a situation that you absolutely hate and wanting to get out and feeling like you can't. But there has to come a time, and I'm speaking from experience, you guys will learn more later, but there has to be a time where something has to click and you have to do something. Something has to be done. Ask God for help. And you know what? If absolutely nothing can be done, ask God to change your heart then. Because you can't live in anger and upsetness about people. And I want to add another
anger
thing.
And jealousy. Yeah.
Anger and jealousy. You can't live in that. I want to add another thing. You said people are saying stop posting perfectness. I'm sorry. I'm not going to post my worst moments on social media. You will not catch a picture of me crying on social media. You might catch me on a bad day in my closed story saying, I'm so mad at this. And honestly, I post and delete quite often, especially lately. So, like, you might catch that, but you're not going to catch, like, me crying. Like, why would I want to post sad things? I want to post happy things. I want to post when I'm happy. I want you to see the moments that I'm happy. Why would I share sad? I don't get that. Like, that I'll never understand. I feel like, no offense to you as a Gen Z, but I feel like Gen Z is so comfortable with the... Oh, yeah. Have you seen that video where the girl's like, this is the moment where I had the worst breakup of my life. She stops, get off the phone with the ex-boyfriend, sets up her camera, sits back down on her bed, and does all this stuff, and it's like, what?
And she posted that?
And she posted it. If anything, just send it to your group chat with the girlies. They'll tell you you're being
also,
silly. And then move on.
Also, like, hot take, but I don't think you should be using social media at all during those moments.
I agree.
Like, detach yourself. It's only going to make you feel worse.
Yes. That's a
Pray
good
about
point.
it.
Yeah.
Like, don't even be on social media. Like, I'm sorry, I have crappy days a lot. Like, we all have crappy days. We all have crappy moments of the day. I don't like to, like, have a whole crappy day. It sounds weird, but, like, obviously, like, we have crappy moments of our day. I'm not scrolling through Instagram. Like, I'm off because it's, like, it's only going to make you feel worse. It's only going to make you go down a hole because you're going to see people getting engaged. You're going to see people being married. People on
vacation.
Yeah. And it's also, like, kind of cool, though, to remember that, like, maybe you're having a terrible day. If you think about it in this way, you know, maybe you're having a terrible day, but this is, like, the best day of someone's life. Someone's getting married today. Someone's getting engaged today. Somebody finds out they're going to have a baby today, you know? We're all going through different things at different times, and I just think that it's like we need to be uplifting to each other. And I'm not perfect at all, but I think that there's so much, like, I am a big advocate for social media because I think it has such a potential for good. But I do think you can be very addicted to it. I do think I'm probably kind of addicted to it. But I do think that I have the boundary where when I'm having a bad day, I'm not going to, one, post about having a bad day, but I'm also not going to post about having a good day. Yeah. Because I'm not having a good day. Yeah. And that's the other trap that I think people get caught up in is trying to make their life look perfect when nobody's life is perfect. Nobody's having a good day every day. And posting about it being a great day when it's not a great day. And it's like, that's not genuine. And there's this quote I'm going to forget. My boyfriend told me something about, like, being genuine. And it was a really good quote, and I totally forgot it. But anyway, it's important to be genuine. And that's what it was like being a Christian. Like God wants you to be genuine. And, like, if you're not going to be genuine, then, like, don't say anything at all. Because it's not going to help anyone.
Yeah. And even we got to move on to the next story, but
sorry.
To wrap this in a nice bow, dang, I forgot what I was going to say.
To wrap this in a nice bow.
I I can't remember. But either way, that's the update on Brittany Dawn. Let us know, what do you think? Do you think that everyone deserves redemption? Do you think she deserves redemption? Use discernment when following everyone, especially Christians. I don't remember what I was going to say, but I do want to say this. One thing that I think we all have to be careful with is a Christian influencer. I personally don't want to be described as a Christian influencer. I'd rather be described as a podcaster that happens to be Christian and she lives her life that way, because that is a lot of pressure that I think that people don't realize being a Christian influencer is.
Yes.
It's a lot of pressure, and it's also you're going to get like everything you're going to do is going to be scrutinized, and you might not do it purposely, but you're going to see how you have to be perfect. And even though there's no one's ever perfect, but you're going to feel that pressure because you have established yourself as a Christian influencer. So that's something I would never want to establish myself as. I'd rather be known as like a podcaster that just happens to be Christian. Anyway, this is a great conversation. We can definitely go on and on, but we're only going to do one more story instead of two stories because we've talked so long. But I really wanted to talk about this, and I know you did too, and I think this is a good one to wrap it up with. Something that this is our second week talking about a celebrity couple that just can't seem to get it right. So this article is from EV Magazine. Jonah Hill's ex-girlfriend accuses him of being emotionally abusive and leaks private messages. But is he really the villain? Surfer Sarah Brady shared a series of Instagram story posts and posted screenshots of Hill's texts, but after reading through what she sent her, one could argue that he actually stated his boundaries clearly and respectfully. I always forget EV is like opinion. Sometimes you just want to read like sometimes you just want to read like what actually happened. But let me read to you guys the text messages, or the main one. There's multiple text messages, so let's just do the main one. I'm gonna read it to you, and if you follow the page on Instagram, you would have seen this, but we're going to discuss it even more. So here we go. So this is what Jonah texts Sarah, his ex. Who, funny story, they've been an ex for over a year.
Yeah, right. This isn't even recent.
Had a baby. Yeah. And he just had a baby. Anyway, I know. Lots of tea. Okay, so sorry, I'm going to cough again. I've had this perpetual cough for almost a year now.
Oh, gosh.
I know. I'll get it checked out one day. Okay, so this is the text message. Plain and simple. If you need surfing with men, boundaryless inappropriate friendships with men, to model, to post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, to post sexual pictures, friendships with women who are in unstable places, and from your wild recent past, beyond getting lunch or coffee or something, I am not the right partner for you. If these things bring you to a place of happiness, I support it and there are no hard feelings. These are my boundaries for romantic partnerships. My boundaries with you based on the ways these actions have hurt our trust. Should we read more of the text messages, or do you think we should just be...
I think that's honestly good.
Okay. So, do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You can go first.
So, my initial thoughts was like, who the heck is Sarah Brady? No, but seriously, I initially was kind of confused about everything when I first saw it. And then, I read the messages, specifically that one. And I want to talk about that one. There's more messages. And I think there is a conversation about whether everything in totality, everything in total.
Totality. Yeah, totality.
Yeah, totality.
Yeah. Hard word.
Yeah, so everything together. There's a conversation to be had about whether that is abusive, I guess. But if we're talking strictly about those text messages we have here, these are my thoughts. First is he's very, very blunt and clear. I dated a guy once, I said this on my Instagram, I dated a guy once who was very blunt, but one thing about him is he was clear. He might have said something that kind of hurt my feelings, but I never had to question his opinion on something because he was very clear. Now, whether... a lot of people don't like that. To be honest, I don't know if I'd want to date someone like that ever again.
Yeah.
Because, people like that, it can be kind of hard. But, I mean, they're clear. So I feel like that's not necessarily a bad thing to be clear. Now, some of the things that he asks for, I don't necessarily think those are wrong if he had seeked a girl who had already agreed with that. The biggest thing, and I think everyone's talking about it, whether you think he's abusive or not, the weirdest, strangest thing is he initiated contact with her from a surfer picture. And then now he's saying don't post surfer pictures. Then you should have picked a girl who wouldn't post surfer pictures.
Yeah.
And this is a problem I see a lot. I'm going to hop on my soapbox for a second, and then I'm going to get off.
Okay. Get on your soapbox.
I'm going to get on my soapbox. There are so many men who call themselves traditional, conservative, or Christian who are looking for girls who fit a certain look. And then they're thinking, I'll change her to be the character and the person that I want. And that can go either one or two ways. One way is the girl is changed. I actually have a friend who, great, wonderful mother, wonderful woman now. She actually met her husband, was a Christian, a really nice guy. She met him and she was the exact opposite, wild. She slept around. She was all this stuff. They met. He liked her. He introduced her to Jesus and like all this other stuff. And now she is the exact opposite. That's one way it can go. Is that common? No. But that's one way it can go. Or it can go like Sarah Brady, where women do not want to change who they've been, especially if you liked them before. And men have got to start looking at character and then looking at the looks. I think this is, like, I can't say anything about Sarah because I can say things like, it was very inappropriate for her to post the text messages. Very inappropriate. And personally, the things that he said, I didn't think were unreasonable. So, I can say that about her, but like, I can't be mad at her for acting this way if he knew she was acting that way when they met. That's the part that's just so wild to me. Like, why would you expect her to change? You shouldn't have that expectation. Someone told me this years ago. I want to say it was my great aunt. She told me, do not date someone's potential. If you see that they can be who you want them to be, you don't date them. Date the person who already is what you want them to be. And I think that's another thing that like a lot of men are struggling with. I don't know how to fix them. They probably don't listen to the podcast, but like that's just something, tell your brothers.
Maybe they do.
Tell your brothers, tell your friends that are males, like really start caring about the character first because, perfect example, that last sentence, I think that is completely reasonable. I would not want my boyfriend, someone who I'm serious with, someone who I want to be the father of my children, to hang out with a bunch of guys that cheat on their wives, that get hookers and things like that. And a great example of that is in season 2 of The White Lotus. Spoiler alert if you haven't listened, or if you didn't watch it, it's not that great of a show, but spoiler alert, one of the guys, he, from what we saw, a good husband, loyal and everything. His friend invited hookers over. He didn't cheat then, but he cheated later because they kept hanging out. The guy that was part of, in his marriage, they were all open and, it's whatever. I know he cheats. She knows I cheat, blah, blah, blah. And then later, it's gross. Birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah. You're going to become your 5 closest friends.
So if you don't want your significant other to be like that, you should encourage them not to have friends like that. And someone told me that on the Instagram said that it was slut shaming. And I was like, well, I'll say it about men too. Is that slut shaming? Like, I'll say to my future boyfriend, like, if you do that, I'm slut shaming you too. So like, anyway, long story short, those are my thoughts. I don't think it's like completely unreasonable what he said. I think he was very clear. I think that I also heard someone say this on another podcast. They were very obviously wanted separate things. If you read all the text messages, he wanted a wife.
He talks about, in later text messages that she released or something, he talks about, like, all I want is a family, like, all this stuff. Yeah.
And that's not what she wanted.
No.
So, as the girly in the relationship, give it to us.
Well, so, I mean, you said a lot of it, but, I have so many things to say about it. It was like, I literally read it like 3 times to be like, because my opinions on, I'll just say it this way. I used to be, like, 2 or 3 years ago, I used to be a lot more feminist. Like, I used to, like, I really did. I was always pro-life. I was always Christian. I used to be a lot more. I don't want any man telling me what to do, you know? I had a period of time, for those who know me, where I very much did not like men. I was very scarred by my previous relationship, and I didn't like men telling me at all what to do, right? Yeah, I always thought that the biggest issue I'd have in a relationship is letting the man lead, like being submissive. I was very much like, I wanted to be a boss woman for a solid year, and then I realized it's not all it's cracked up to be. But, so I was reading this, and I was like, you know what? Like, 2 years ago, I would have been like, what's the girl's name? Sarah. I would have been like, you go, Sarah. Like, he should not be telling you what to do. Like, no man should tell you what to do. Alex Clark says it perfectly, though. Don't date feminist women. Like, don't date liberal women. Mm-hmm. They don't want to get married. They don't want to be submissive. Like, end of story. They don't. If you're looking for a wife, if you're looking for a mother to your children, to your future children, don't date liberal women. So that's the first thing. Obviously, they were on different wavelengths. Obviously, I didn't know that. He found her through a
from her surfer DM. His first message to her, it was a picture of her in like a bikini surfing thing.
Oh gosh.
With hard eyes. That was his first message to her. Oh. And it's like, come on.
Oh, there's so many things I can say about it. It's a problem that that we see in conservative circles too.
Yes.
All these like quote unquote stand up conservative guys hanging out with all these girls who, I'm sorry, they look like strippers. Like they dress like that, and then they want them to be these homemaker moms. Like it doesn't just happen. Yeah. You don't just all of a sudden meet the man of your dreams and like change. Like once in a while, like you said, Mal, it might. But here's the second thing. I was thinking about. I was like, if my boyfriend says something like this to me, or like first of all, my first thought was hopefully he wouldn't ever have to say stuff like that to me, because I have enough respect for him. I have enough respect for my father even to not post bikini pictures in general, right? Like pretty like I it's hard, but it's like
a hard line.
You know
when a suggestion.
There's a difference between posting a picture of girls know, right? Like I don't need to go through and explain. Girls know that. But I think that this was a man setting boundaries. This was a man thinking, like, it takes a lot for men to think and type up that text, right? Like most men, like my boyfriend's gonna give me a couple word answers when he texts me, right? Like it's just a guy thing. It takes a lot for men. This is a man who thought about it, maybe wrote about it in his notes app. That's what I do.
Yes.
Thought about, these are my issues that I'm having with this woman, and I probably love her, so I don't want to break up with her, but we can't continue to date if she's going to do these reasonable things. If she's going to be having suggestive relationships with other men, if she's going to be needing to post extremely scandalous pictures, other men are going to have attention. Like, these are normal things. These are things that my boyfriend and I have talked about, right? These are things that you talk about in a healthy relationship.
At the beginning of the relationship.
At the beginning of the relationship. I don't think that a whole text about it was really a great way of doing it. Like, I think
that's a good point, too.
He probably knew that, like, any girl would probably get her feathers bushed up at seeing that, because it's just our instinct. We don't want to be told what to do. I think there are a lot of problems, but I hate that people are calling this emotional abuse. There is such thing as emotional abuse. This is not emotional abuse. This was a man setting boundaries. He was not emotionally abusing. Like, tell me how that was emotionally abusing her. It wasn't.
I really wish we could be better with our language. Let me tell you 3 things we overused. Emotional abuse, narcissist, and gaslight.
Yes.
If I never have to hear any 3 of those words again, I'll be so happy. We use those words whenever. If you know, your ex does anything you don't like, narcissist, gaslight. And I wish we, and it comes from therapy. I'm not anti-therapy. I'm not. I've just seen how, I guess you could say, too much therapy affects people. I have a friend who I personally think did too much therapy, and they're just a shell of who they were. I mean, if your therapist is always telling you you're right, you go girl, then your mindset's going to change. It's never going to be your fault when things happen. And I've seen that. And and you can, if you read his text messages and the other ones, it's all therapy speak. Like the words he's using, people saying emotional abuse, they learn that in their therapist, which is a real honest thing. I'm not against that. I'm just saying gaslight, narcissist, those are therapist words. There has to be a point where we have to use definitions correctly. Every single human being is not a narcissist. They're just not. It's impossible. I don't even understand what the definition of gaslighting is. I mean, I hear one person say it's this, this person's using it this way. We have got to be better at learning words. And I want to add, I'm not against therapy.
Learning words,
learning words and like,
it's true. And
yeah.
And saying things how they are meant to be said. I mean, I think it also comes from a culture of an overuse of profanity. Like, I will not say that I never swear, but I try very hard to use my words, and I'm not the greatest at this, but I'm trying to get better because I used to be a lot better at it. But it comes from the crowd you hang around. It comes from the amount that you use swear words. I think is like because this word can mean a whole ton of things, and you can use it in a whole different lot of situations. We find a word that we like that gets a reaction from people, and we use that in a ton of different situations. That's just my thought. But, narcissist, that gets a reaction from people. It's a buzzword almost. And we use that to describe people who are not at all narcissists, who might have a bit of an issue. Like, gaslighting, my understanding of gaslighting is it's making someone else believe something that's not true. Basically, like saying it enough times to like make them believe that. It could be wrong. I could be wrong, but like
that's what I thought too. But
we hear that word, we say that word and people are like, oh my gosh, they were gaslighting you. Like, oh, that's terrible. When like maybe that's not at all what happened. So we need to be careful.
Maybe it was a misunderstanding.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe the person had no ill intent. Yeah,
there's just we are just not using words by their definition, and it's causing so much disruption. And is hurting people. I mean, the internet has been talking about this man who, here's the thing too, he did that whole documentary about his therapy last year. And I'm like, is he okay? The internet's been talking about him all week. And why would you, and I guess she truly thinks that Jonah Hill is a terrible person, because why would you post this, cause all this stress and disruption, when he and his wife just had a baby? I feel like that's so...
Yeah. I agree with you.
Narcissistic? I'm just joking. That's not narcissistic. It's rude.
Yeah.
It's rude.
And, the whole thing, the fact that it was so long. Like, why are you... Oh, my gosh. So many issues with this. So many issues.
Well, that's a wrap on today's episode. We have talked well over how much we probably should have, but that's okay.
But it's fine. We had a lot of hot takes.
Yes, we did. If you would, first, tell us where people can follow you. If you have any discount codes or anything like that, let us know really quick.
Yeah, so you can find me through, my best place to find me is Instagram. It's at sav.speakslife. You can message me with any questions. My podcast is at Classy Chicks Pod. I can get you a bunch of discounts on crunchy natural makeup if you would like. Just message me about that. And I work for Live Action. They're always amazing to follow at liveaction.org. And Culture of Life Fashion. If you just like look it up on Instagram, you'll find it. So those are my links.
Perfect. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, please make sure you like, rate, review, subscribe. However you are interacting. Answer this week's question. I think this week's question will be just when... I'll think of it later. Answer this week's question on Spotify and on YouTube in the comments. And make sure you check out the Patreon. Make sure you check out our merch. Make sure you download the app. This will be a fun thing to discuss.
Discussion one.
And we will have a new episode out on Tuesday after this comes out on Saturday. That I think you'll enjoy. We're going to be back to our Saturday, Tuesday schedule, hopefully for the rest of the month and then the rest of August. I guess that's it. Thanks, guys, for listening. Have a great night, day, evening, however, wherever you're listening.
Thanks for having me on. Bye.